lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name is Ryan, and today I'm going to be going through a classic Eastman and Laird book, but not Ninja Turtles. I'm going to be going through Fugitoid, #1. I'm really stoked to go through this with you guys and show it off. Before I get into it, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below so you can be notified every time I drop one of these videos. We do interviews, go through the new books that come out on a weekly basis with our weekly pull series, go through some old trades, got a bunch of dope content on the channel, indie creators as well. So a lot of dope stuff for you guys to check out. Like I said, today we're going to be going through Fugitoid #1. So I want to show off this wraparound cover. Super stoked to go through this. So if you're not familiar with the Fugitoid, you know, whether you're a fan of the old Turtles comics, Eastman and Laird, the new IDW stuff, or the cartoon, this is Professor Honeycutt, and this issue takes place between issues 4 and 5 of the Mirage series. So this is kind of the backstory of Professor Honeycutt. So I just wanted to quickly go in. Another thing I really love are these editorials that Kevin and Peter used to do. It's called the Toid Void, so not the turtle tracks like you'd see in the Turtles issues. But, you know, they're talking about, like, it's the first issue of Fugitoid, first publishing venture outside of their flagship book, The Turtles. It's something of a thrill for us, not only publishing a title with a new character, but that we are switching from 2-color to full-color covers. So that's pretty cool, too, like this being their first full-color cover, whereas everything else was two-tone, 2 different colors. That they weren't really making a lot of money back then at this point, and they didn't have a lot, so they were going to try their luck selling this as a backup feature to one of the new alternative comics publishers, which I'm not sure who that was. They sent the first 30 pages, all in 5-page chapters, and waited by the mailbox, and they received them back along with a rejection letter, which is kind of crazy. So it served as inspiration to work harder, and around that time is when they did the Turtles. So this actually, Fugitoid, the character preceded the Turtles. Kind of cool that they kind of worked him in. Obviously, I think you can tell, like, if you go through this, that where the next chapter is past these 5 chapters. So, you know, you get introduced to Professor Honeycutt. Obviously, like, he's got it's a robot that does work for him, kind of an assistant, and he uses the mental wave device to control him. So he's a scientist for the military. Goes out because the Fugitoid robot gets stuck in the storm, and in this storm, zapped with lightning, which in turn puts his brain into the body of the Fugitoid. I've already said this. I love black and white comics, and I love the Turtles. So to be able to add this to my collection was very exciting. I have read this in the reprints and stuff. You know, those complete collections that IDW does, I'm pretty sure it was in there because I definitely read it. I just don't remember where I read it first, but I'm glad I was able to get this on the awesome newsprint. Smell the newsprint as I'm flipping through it. If you're a comic head like me, I know I'm not the only one that loves the smell of old comics. So obviously the soldiers are after him because they want his technology that he was creating for them. So he's now on the run, and that's why he's called the Fugitoid, because he's a fugitive on the run, and they think that he killed Professor Honeycutt, not realizing that he's the one that's inside the Fugitoid. I mean, just again, Eastman and Laird, just their rendering, their tones that they did on these are just next level. It's a fucking really, really awesome book. And this is where they discover that Honeycutt was not killed by the robot, that he was in fact trapped now in the metal body. His brain is now trapped in there. So now they will be able to get the transmat technology after all, which they're in a war with another alien race, which we'll see later, which is why it's so important for them to get it. So this whole issue is Professor Honeycutt, aka the Fugitoid, on the run. And I can't remember this lobster creature's name, but he even helps protect Honeycutt and hides him inside of his shell as General Blank, as all the soldiers are going after him. And, you know, Fugitoid Honeycutt thanking him for protecting me. It's like, once we sensed your distress, it was the least we could do. And then, so they can read minds, and they said that we know you're like no other robot. Your mind is that of a human. This is very strange. Indeed it is, Honeycutt says, and he hasn't entirely adjusted to it, but he knows he can't stay here. If Blank and his soldiers come back, they're going to find him easily. So he's at a junkyard. I love this. Who would think that there's this much junk in the universe? Walk 3 miles through this endless trash heap, and he still can't see Pebble. Love their alien designs too. Eastman and Laird are always really good at that in the early Turtles comics that they did. Still some of my favorite comics, obviously. So he's through this marketplace on this planet. He's on his way trying to get off planet, trying to stay away from General Blank and all the soldiers that are after him for the technology because he doesn't want to give it up. We have this girl walking around who, as we see a few pages earlier, seems to be working with the soldiers, but as we're going to see, she's actually a spy, and it seems like she's a drug addict, so she's trying to get her fix. And if you can tell, by the shadow, you know who this is. This is a Triceratops. Now, we don't actually see the mask off we don't see the reveal until this page, but he's also after the transmit technology. Fast forward a few pages, you see the Triceratops. He's even watching her, like she's injecting herself with the drug. So this comic is a little bit darker than, I would say, even the early Turtles, dealing with drug use. I don't remember seeing that. This dude just getting blasted away by the Triceratops. And I love this particular panel. Once we find this robot and from it rests the secret of the transmat, the universe will be ours. And this is where we connect. We get the Turtles, and Honeycutt has now somehow transported the Turtles here, or at least that's what we're led to believe. And so the soldiers think that he called in the reinforcements, and that's where it says you will find out in TMNT number 5 on sale October 1st. And then I always love these little ads, dude. The metal miniatures, the t-shirt iron-ons. What I wouldn't give to be able to have been picking these Turtle comics up, off the stands. Super, but I'm super stoked I'm able to have them now. As cool as it would have been to be able to pick them up. Anytime I can find them to fill in my collection, I'm always down. And this particular cover, number 5, is the first time the Turtles get the full color wraparound cover. So that is Fugitoid. Number 1. Maybe this is the first time you're hearing about it, maybe it's the first time you're seeing it, but either way, this is a really dope comic. If single issues are your thing, I highly recommend picking it up. If not, like I said, it's available in the reprints. Definitely a story worth reading if you're a turtle head. And if you're not already following us, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Comic Lounge. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, the bell icon, so you're notified every time a new video goes up. And on that note, I'm out.